Grandma, please help.
The late-night phone call from my granddaughter conveyed the pitiful situation my daughter was in. Hurrying to my daughter's house, Amy found her emaciated daughter sleeping in the messy room.
Mom won't wake up.
Tearful eyes of my granddaughter. My daughter's husband seemed to have left her in this state and not returned. I will never forgive him who puts my precious daughter and granddaughter in such a situation. Trembling with anger, I took my daughter and granddaughter out of the house. My name is Sarah, and I'm 65 years old. Ever since my husband passed away from illness, I've been living alone. My simple pleasures of living alone include chatting with neighbors, taking daily walks, and tending to the garden. I lead a very ordinary and quiet life. However, when it comes to my daughter and granddaughter, I suddenly feel invigorated. For me now, the happiest moments are when my daughter Nancy brings my granddaughter Amy to visit. However, since my daughter's family lives far away, we only get to see each other about once every 2 months. While I wish we could meet more often, it's just the way things are. That's why I spend time preparing for that special day. From cleaning the house to managing my health to experimenting with new recipes, everything is done in anticipation of the day I get to see my daughter and granddaughter. I've decided it's okay to indulge on that day, and I secretly call it my reward day. The loneliness of everyday life becomes bearable when I think about the reward day that awaits me. I don't just want you to visit during vacations and New Year's, but I want you to come and see me every few months without fail. I told my daughter when she got married. This request isn't just to fill my own loneliness. My daughter, who resembles her late father and has a fragile constitution, has always been prone to health issues since childhood. That's why I want to see her regularly and check on her well-being with my own eyes. Of course, we stay in touch regularly through phone calls. Recently, I prompted her to contact me through email, and she called me when she had some free time. Thank you for the call. It's getting colder, but you haven't caught a cold, have you? How's your health? My daughter remains a child to me. She's just like when she used to frequently have fevers as a child, so I always worry during seasonal transitions. My daughter responds to me, laughing and saying I worry too much.
Don't worry too much, Mom. If anything happens, Michael is here. Amy is also doing very well. How about you, Mom?
In response to my daughter's question, I proudly replied, I'm doing well too. My son-in-law, Michael, works as a salesperson for a trading company. He's a tall, slender, and very kind-hearted young man. He and my daughter met through mutual friends in the neighborhood and got married after dating for a while. Now that my husband is no longer here, he's the only male presence in our home. Like my daughter, I also rely on my son-in-law a lot. One day, during a typical weekday afternoon, I received an unexpected call from my daughter. It was unusual for her to call without my prompting. With curiosity, when I answered, only to be surprised that it was my granddaughter, Amy, on the line. She remembered the passcode to her mother's smartphone and unlocked it herself. First graders these days are amazing. I praised, but Amy's tone indicated something more serious.
Grandma, Mom is really sick and in a lot of pain.
Her voice was unusually very small. It seemed my daughter was asleep in bed, and Amy was speaking softly to avoid waking her. She's such a considerate child. It's okay, Amy. Grandma will take care of it right away. I reassured her gently before ending the call. Immediately, I called my son-in-law. He was probably at work, but it was an emergency. After several attempts, he finally answered. He seemed surprised when I mentioned Amy's call.
Amy called you? I understand. I'll go check on Nancy right away.
In the evening of that day, I received a call from my son-in-law, who updated me on my daughter's condition. Apparently, she had developed a slight fever and spent the day resting. He apologized for causing concern, mentioning that their granddaughter had made a bit of a fuss.
She's asleep now, so we'll let her rest for the day. Sorry for worrying you.
Michael said, expressing his intention to continue taking care of my daughter. It was reassuring to know that he was by my daughter's side, offering support. I thanked my son-in-law and ended the call. A few nights later, just as I was about to go to bed, I received a call from my daughter at a late hour. Answering the call, I found my granddaughter, Amy, on the other end once again. Her voice trembled, as if she were crying.
Grandma, help me.
Her voice instantly woke me up, and I sat up abruptly. Amy explained that her mother was still asleep and wouldn't wake up. Feeling helpless, she reached out to me for assistance. When I inquired about my son-in-law's whereabouts, Amy informed me that he wasn't home.
Dad can't come back. Grandma, please, help us. Hurry.
This was serious. While calming my granddaughter down, I quickly got ready. Amy reassured me that her mother seemed to be breathing, even though she was still asleep. I rushed out of the house and hailed a taxi. There was no time to think about late-night fares or anything else. Arriving at my daughter's house, I was greeted by my pajama-clad granddaughter rushing towards me, clinging to me desperately.
Mom. Mom.
Holding my granddaughter close, I turned on the lights in the room and was shocked by the sight before me. The room was in complete disarray. Lunch containers, empty cans of alcohol, and other debris were scattered around, with barely any signs of cleaning. And my granddaughter, clinging to me, didn't look well kept either. Her hair and nails were overgrown, clearly lacking care. In the bedroom I entered with my granddaughter, my daughter lay emaciated, her appearance drastically altered. "Nancy, are you okay?" I rushed to my daughter's side and checked her pulse. It was shallow, but she was breathing, which brought some relief. However, her forehead felt burning hot. Something had to be done immediately. I quickly arranged for an ambulance and waited for its arrival. During that time, as I tended to his unwell wife, I couldn't help but wonder where my son-in-law had gone in the middle of the night. When I asked my granddaughter about him, she shook her head vigorously. Then, without saying a word, she handed me her mother's smartphone. On the screen, I saw a WhatsApp chat conversation. It contained messages from my granddaughter to her father, reporting her mother's condition and pleading for him.
Please come home quickly.
In response to her distress call, my son-in-law's reply was just one word:
Drinking.
After that, my granddaughter continued to send messages asking him to come home, but he ignored them. That's probably why she contacted me.
Dad didn't come back.
My granddaughter's tearful plea resonated in the room. Just witnessing her anguish was heart-wrenching. What a despicable man he must be. He seemed unwilling to respond to his daughter's SOS from her mother. It was absolutely outrageous. After receiving medical attention at the hospital, I decided to bring my daughter and granddaughter home with me. My granddaughter, feeling safe under my protection, began to slowly recount her father's behavior. His responses on WhatsApp and his actions, as told by my granddaughter, were completely different from the man I spoke to on the phone with my daughter on a regular basis. The next morning, There was an incoming call on my daughter's smartphone. It was from my son-in-law. Since my daughter wasn't feeling well yet, I answered the call. However, it seemed he didn't realize it was me on the line, as he started speaking one-sidedly.
What the hell are you and Amy doing out at this hour? Where's my breakfast? Hurry up and come home to make it.
What arrogant language. It was completely different from how he usually spoke to me. Oblivious to my astonishment, my son-in-law continued.
Are you even listening?
I am not Nancy. I replied in one word. Then, my son-in-law muttered.
Oh, are you Sarah?
It was clear he realized his mistake. He fell silent for a few minutes, then hesitantly asked about my daughter. It's too late, I said. I could sense my son-in-law's shock. He knew my daughter wasn't well, yet he had left the house. He must be terrified of my words. Michael, I'm disappointed in you. You've been lying to me, pretending there was no problem. Nancy and Amy, have they suffered because of you? Last night, I heard from my granddaughter and my daughter, who had regained consciousness. It turns out my son-in-law had quit his job and let my daughter work while he got addicted to gambling and roamed around for fun. Moreover, he had accumulated a huge debt and left the repayment to my daughter, while he pretended not to know anything about it. My daughter and granddaughter stayed with me overnight. My daughter was really in a dangerous situation. And your child, covered in bruises, it's all because of you. I will never forgive you. I told him sternly. Apparently, my son-in-law often raised his hand against my daughter. I interrogated him rigorously. In response, my son-in-law desperately tried to refute me.
That's not true. I didn't do anything like that. Please believe me. Yesterday, I had an important business dinner and couldn't come home.
Until yesterday, I might have easily been fooled by my son-in-law's words. But things are different now. I had confirmed my daughter's condition with my own eyes, and above all, there was indisputable evidence. Amy was recording a video. You hitting Nancy. She's really clever. She was trying to protect her mother in her own way. Recalling the hidden footage, tears of frustration welled up. My son-in-law's merciless behavior towards my daughter, who was cowering, was unbearable. I couldn't even bring myself to watch the entire video and stopped halfway. You're at home, aren't you? I'm going to report you to the police now. There's no use running away. My son-in-law desperately apologized, but I ignored him and hung up the call. The granddaughter, who had been listening to the conversation from a distance, ran over and clung tightly to me. After ending the call, I hugged both my granddaughter and my daughter, who was lying beside us.
I think somewhere deep down, I was hoping that Michael would return to his old self someday. But as I endured and endured, I found myself going to a point of no return.
My daughter apologized tearfully. It seemed she had been pretending that everything was fine to avoid causing me unnecessary worry, which ultimately allowed my son-in-law to behave recklessly. It was truly lamentable. When I suggested divorce, my daughter nodded silently. My son-in-law would likely be sued for his mistreatment of my daughter from now on. I had no intention of showing him any mercy. From now on, I had to protect my daughter and granddaughter. Afterwards, my daughter filed complaints about the mistreatment she had endured from her husband, and his guilt was established. He was sentenced to a fine, the divorce was finalized, and claims for compensation were made. He would now have to slowly repay the large debts he had accumulated from gambling and the compensation. With a criminal record, what kind of job would he be able to find? I hoped he would lead a regretful life filled with hardships. As for me, I decided to invite my daughter and granddaughter to live with me at home. With my care reminiscent of her childhood, my daughter's health was gradually improving. Time would surely heal the wounds of her heart, which had been hurt by a terrible man. From now on, I want to spend each day bright and happy with my daughter and granddaughter by my side, just like we used to in the past.